Let's see. Well, it looks like a bunch of folks are going to be joining us here as we get started right at 8:30. Good morning. Happy May the 20th. Is that where we are in this whole thing? I am seeing a lot of familiar names, but maybe folks who haven't been with us for the past 6 or 7 weeks. I think we're on week 7 now. So we figured out a way to let you choose and select your breakout room. So for the first half of today, and we'll talk about that in a minute, we'll be doing some panel presentations, and then we'll move into the breakouts. And we have, peers here who, will share their ideas, and we'll just have conversations. So you can indicate which breakout room that you are most interested in, and then by putting a number in front of your name. If you don't want to participate in a breakout room, Angie will be facilitating some conversation in the main room. You're welcome to leave your name without a number. Just know I won't be moving you to a breakout room then. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the breakouts, but I just want you to know that you have the ability to select, and that you'll do that by changing, putting a number in front of your name. So if you scroll onto the video portion, you should have like an ellipsis up in the top right with 3 little dots. That's how I do it. And we'll get to that again in a couple minutes. So looks like folks are streaming in. Oh, good, Aubrey's on because I have a shout out for her here in a minute. Let's give people maybe 1 more minute to get in the room on the Zoom, and then we'll proceed. And I do love that a few of you decided to have a little dialogue with me today, Daniel and Eric and and a few folks, so that was fun. Good, good. All right. Well, let's go to the next slide, Bridget, knowing we will probably have folks continue to come in. This is my shout out to Aubrey. She posted this nonprofit buzzword bingo in the Iowa Nonprofit Happy Hour Facebook group. If you are not a member of the Iowa Nonprofit Happy Hour Facebook group, it is a fun little spot to go and ask kind of like crowdsourced questions or answers to your questions, or share resources. It's really like a peer-to-peer kind of space on Facebook. So she posted this nonprofit buzzword bingo in there last week or earlier this week. I don't know, they're all running together. And I thought I have to steal that for community circles, because I'm pretty sure that I'm guilty of probably bingoing before the first 5 minutes of any of these community circles. Also, the free space in the center being donated space, I cried a little bit when I read that. So I will do my best to help everybody emerge through this Zoom meeting as a thought leader, and really pivot to do some fundraising virtually. So I thought that was fun. Thank you, Aubrey, for the giggle. I know we appreciate that. Bridget, let's go to the next slide, because I think we're getting folks in. All right, so today's time together, we are really focusing on a panel conversation around hosting virtual fundraising events. This is a great opportunity to learn from some peers who have been there, and to ask questions, and they'll share their experiences. In the discussion breakout rooms, which I mentioned, you'll have 2 options. Amanda and Marty will be in their room 1, and they really have, at this point, done some non-gala type virtual fundraising. And so if you want to talk about maybe non-gala type fundraising events, you'll select room 1 by changing your name to put a 1 in front of it. And then the second room will be more on the gala events. And then in the main room, that'll be facilitated by Angie with opportunity to ask questions and share insights with others related to the response and recovery period. When I was putting this together, I wasn't anticipating that we would have a cameo from our favorite policy expert, Dustin Miller, but we do have the opportunity to get an update from him this week. So Dustin, if you wanted to turn on your video and your microphone and just give us a brief update, it's always good to see you.
Yeah, I wanted to be real brief with you guys this morning, but there's some important things that have come up. Last Friday, they released a loan forgiveness application. If you do have a PPP, hopefully you received that. There is some complications. If you have gone into that, there are some complications related to your covered period versus there's an alternative covered period. So you're going to want to get that, especially likely if you have one, you've had it for a number of weeks. Second of all, SBA has let me know that there will be additional guidance on loan forgiveness yet this week. And we at NIMASTER actually did a webinar this week. You can find on the NIMASTER website specifically about loan forgiveness. That's free to you if you pop on there, and it gives you some best practices and things like that. And then finally, some of you who received a PPP, and we've had this question in the individual one-on-ones, it's quite frustrating to get a PPP and to not be allowed to be open. And this morning I heard, it was on the Hill and heard it on NPR, that Senator Rubio is talking about changing that covered period, that 8-week period, for people that have been closed due to state closure orders. And so that's big. Because it's him, because this is his purview and it's under his jurisdiction. So stay tuned on that, and I will continue to get you guys information as that comes out. And obviously, feel free to reach out if you have questions. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dustin. Thanks for keeping us informed. I'll go on the NIMASTER site and include the loan forgiveness webinar in our follow-up materials today, so you don't have to hunt that down. And they have some great resources I think I sent out in last week as well. All right, let's go to the next slide here. And Angie, do you just want to tee us up today?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully this is working okay here this morning. We are so excited once again to have you all come together. I just, every time I hear the dings, I get excited to have a group of people together. We're getting close to 100 of you on the call. And as hopefully you've realized from these community circle discussions, we're really just listening to the feedback that we're getting through these small group breakouts, and also just through the outreach that each of the presenting kind of partnering groups are hearing from those of you in the trenches and on the ground during this time. Of course, fundraising is something that we have heard in many of those discussions. And this morning, Brian has done some deep dive additional research and conversations with 4 nonprofit leaders about some activities at their organizations. And so we just wanted to take some time to have you hear from some who have experienced both gala events as well as other online fundraising events, and give you an opportunity then just to see some of these wonderful examples and then have some additional insight and conversations in the breakout. So with that, just want to express my appreciation to each of these 4, and to many of you already on the call. I'm recognizing many names that I know have pivoted in similar ways. So I'm going to turn it over to Brianne to help facilitate this conversation this morning, and hopefully there are some good nuggets that you can get from that. Not sure how many bingo words I used there, but I'm sure Aubrey will let us know.
I heard pivot at least.
I'm sure. So. I'm sure pivot. I'm sure pivot. That one is definitely in my vocabulary.
All right. Thanks Angie. I'll have our 4 panelists today join us with video and audio, if you will. That would be great. Thank you. Good. It's good to see you all. And I saw Sara join us, so see if we can get her on. There we go. I think we should be good. Excellent. Well, thank you all for being here today and sharing your expertise. I'll just ask you in the order of your logos, maybe on the left-hand side, to go through. Just tell us maybe what organization you're with, your name, and your position.
Okay, I guess that makes me first. My name is Amanda Newsom, and I'm the Vice President and Chief Development Officer at Blank Park Zoo. And yeah, so today I'm here to talk about non-gala virtual events. As many people are aware, and some might not be, the Blank Park Zoo does between 20 and 30 events all year, most of them fundraising, some of them non-fundraising events. So when all of this started to happen, we very quickly realized that we're going to need to make some changes and do some additional planning and a lot of research. And so that's what we've done. And so far, we have had a conservation speaker series event. We do a series of 3 of those every single year, and the third one fell in April. So we very quickly realized this was not going to be an in-person event. So we needed to make it virtual. And I'm glad that it was that event so that we could learn a few things about ourselves, our knowledge, and what we needed to do. And because obviously we have one of our largest events coming up, which is Zoo Brew. So that's probably the main thing that I'll talk about in our room.
Yeah, great. Sarah?
Hi, my name's Sara Green. I am the Director of U.S. Development for Blessman International. And today I'm talking about our annual fundraising gala. It's typically an event that is held the last Thursday in April, and we raise over $500,000. And we decided about 5 weeks out from our event to go virtual and ended up raising a little over $515,000 for our event.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Marty?
My name is Marty Luster. I am the Executive Director for Mentor Iowa. I'm going to talk a little bit about our experiences. We're a smaller nonprofit, and we have hosted an annual auction every year, a live event at the Hyperion. And when everything happened, we chose to go virtual as well with the online auction portal. It was a huge success for us, believe it or not, with everything going on right now. So I'm going to talk about that and how we kind of went from a live event with paper and pen, bid sheets, to now being current with
Yeah, this was an opportunity to like ditch the old school
That's right.
auction experience. Great. Okay, Josh?
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. So my name is Josh Slay. I'm the Director of Marketing and Strategy for the Pinky Swear Foundation. So we're a nonprofit that focuses on helping kids with cancer and their families with financial and emotional support. And I'll also be talking about our gala that we actually just had this past Saturday, which we obviously needed to switch gears and make into a virtual experience. So excited to share more about that.
Yeah, I had the opportunity as soon as I saw that. I probably get more nonprofit marketing emails than most people in my inbox, and I knew we were hoping to have this conversation. So on Saturday, I participated in my whatever attire I was wearing while I was gardening, and then hopped on the Pinky Swear event and was really super impressed. So Josh is actually joining us from Georgia, right, Josh?
Yep.
So again, the power of Zoom. So great. Thanks so much to all of you for being here. And what you talked about in your introductions was really timing. And you are all kind of on the early end of having to adapt. And Amanda, I wanted to start with you really quickly on how you guys are considering your research when you are deciding, what scenario you go with. You talked about, you're doing option A, which might be like completely in person. We could do it like we've always done it. Option B, which is, completely virtual, or some sort of hybrid. And how are you assessing what's the right scenario to go with?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few things. Obviously, I think most of us pay very close attention at 11 a.m. every single day just to see what we're going to be told as far as who can open up and to what capacity and all of that. So that's not necessarily research. That is just a daily pins and needles session. But we do look at the research the main one that we focus on is the research done by Colleen Dillenschneider, which is really just assessing and comparing this year to the previous few years, people's intent to visit. So it's different than wanting to visit. It's taking it a step further and actually looking at whether or not people are planning to visit. And she looks at 1 month, and then she looks at around the 3 month, and then 6 month. So that's something that's been really important to us to look at as far as an arts and culture type of and recreation type of organization, just to try to keep our fingers on the pulse of where people are at in terms of, even when we open, are they going to come? Are they comfortable coming? Because that plays a big part in whether or not you are going to choose to take on the large expense of having an in-person event. And so our events team is putting together plan A, plan B, and plan C for every single one of our events coming up. So that is Zoo Brew, but it's also Dream Night, which is an event that a lot of people don't know about because it is a fairly private event for kids with terminal illness and special needs. But then also our gala, our golf event, I think, is in the clear. So we're okay with that because they haven't been as impacted. But Zoo Brew is the big one. Zoo Brew is every Wednesday throughout the months of June, July, and August. And last year we went into September, and we also had a Halloween one. We had a holiday one. So we're just continuing to try to pay attention to the trends as far as when people will plan a visit. So yeah, we're looking at a whole lot of different things, reading a lot of different articles, but trying to stay on top of some of the up-to-date research as far as when people plan on coming out.
Great. Yeah. Well, and Angie shared the link in the chat, and then I have it also teed up to go out to Colleen's research in the recap message. So thank you for sharing that with us. I wanted, again, on the timeline to maybe call in Sara Green, who had shared with me yesterday a little bit of like the play-by-play of decision making and some of the pre-work that you did as soon as that you knew that you were going to shift into a virtual event. Can you talk a little bit about that, Sara, and knowing who your audience was and how you had to meet them for a virtual event a little bit differently?
Yeah, so we had, like I said, our annual gala has anywhere from 350 to 500 people that attend. And I would say 95% of our population is 55 or older. And so when everything with COVID started happening, we made the decision March 17th to go virtual, and knew that would present some extra challenges because we had an older generation with technology. There might be some issues with live streaming, Facebook, that type of thing. So we created a timeline and had our script, everything figured out by April 1st. We filmed, and by, I believe it was April 9th, we had our video completely finished. It was 45 minutes long. And our goal was really to make people comfortable with attending the gala virtually. So we created a packet, and I'll go more into that into our breakout room, but it included a USB that had our total video on there for people that might not have Facebook or couldn't get onto our website. And it included 4 pieces of information of specific how to get involved with our silent auction, with watching our video, things like that. And then a personal touch of a gift from one of the children that we serve. But our biggest step in making sure everyone was involved was calling everyone. So we sent out 500 packets for our virtual gala, and we made sure with our team of 4 people, we spent a week and called every single person that was planning on attending the gala, either in person or virtually, and walk through steps, basically just checking in with them, seeing how they were doing with COVID, but then also making sure that they knew what to do for the gala and answered any questions. And that alleviated a lot of stress on our end to make sure that the people that wanted to attend had the means to do so. And it was a good just check-in point for us too. So it was us showing our community that we cared about them, that we weren't just asking for money, but then also gave them an opportunity to get involved with our gala.
Great. I'll jump to Josh kind of on that timeline as well, because Sara, you talked about a lot of the work that you did in the front end, and Josh is talking a little bit about, we did the pre-recording and we launched it, and now we're figuring out what still needs to be done on the back end. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the ROI that you've seen so far, Josh, and what your plans are to help keep working towards your goals?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we also pre-recorded our entire gala. And so we had all of that content really ready to go. And to your point, Sara, a lot of our demographics who would typically attend a gala are going to be that 55 plus sort of generation. And so technology is really not always their strongest suit. I don't want to judge or anything like that. But they typically will have some challenges. We wanted to make sure people were as comfortable as possible. And so we did stream this on Facebook as well as on our website. We wanted to make sure that we didn't exclude people who weren't on social media. And so we wanted to, again, make it as inclusive as possible. But now we also have this incredible content that in a live event, you don't have this recorded content that we now can go and use and connect with people who maybe weren't able to view, had issues viewing, just some new people who maybe have never even heard of us before. And so we're really looking at a 2-week timeline post-event. So our gala was last Saturday on the 16th from 5:30 to about 6:20. It's about 45 minutes long as well. And so now we're able to have our development team and our individual giving team personally connect with all sorts of donors and really segmented lists of, maybe who registered but didn't give, who has attended our gala in the past but didn't look like they participated this year, and really give them some personalized information as well as a link to the full program, as well as our very shortened Fund in Need video. And so we're taking sort of the next 2 weeks to make extremely personalized outreach to sort of continue to increase participation and donations. One of the things in terms of an ROI, obviously all galas are really meant to bring in dollars and that critical funding. But we also wanted to make sure we were able to just increase awareness and spread our mission and storytelling as far as we could. And so by having a virtual gala, although it was extremely disappointing, we always want to have that in-person event, we were able to reach people in 25 different states throughout the country, connect with thousands of more people than we typically would have with an in-person. And so again, although obviously bringing in the dollars was really, really important, it was also just the ability to connect with a lot of new people who may not have heard about us before.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up a point from our conversation too, Josh, that you had about pacing a virtual event and just being really conscious about, you featured some of your prominent donors, and maybe their remarks you felt it maybe slowed down the event a little bit. So thinking about how are you going to break things up? How are you going to pace it? How are you still going to feature those donors, but really be kind of quick on the switches, and knowing that people's attention in a virtual event is a little bit different. Marty, I want to go to you next to talk a little bit about your experience with the ROI and not having to rent out the space, or you made your goal right on your auction, or can you tell me
Yeah, we
more?
actually netted more than we did last year, and part of that, we usually do our event at the Hyperion Field Club, and with food and beverages and things of that nature, that expense didn't exist this year. So the real, we had the investment of the One Cause portal that we used. But besides that, I think last year we raised around 59,000, and this year we were around 53, but our expenses were close to 13,000 because we had some different packages that it was kind of a buy-off kind of deal. And this year we didn't have any of those either. So we actually, netted about 3,000 more than we did last year. So yeah, that's exciting.
And one of the considerations that we had discussed is really when you're doing an auction in this time of COVID, and so many small businesses are impacted who would typically be providing auction items. Can you talk a little bit through how you managed that?
You know, we were pretty fortunate that we were aggressive at the beginning of the year. So before any of this actually started, you know, we were able to get some donations. But like one of the cool things that we were able to do, like challenging our board to go out there and support some of the champions that have given to us. I'm going to tell you, it's a pretty cool feeling to walk into like a restaurant or a place like that and say, hey, you guys have been really good to Mentor Iowa for a long time. This is our way to kind of help give back to you. So, you know, we use some of our sponsor dollars to help, you know, support them at the same time. And hopefully it'll secure, you know, donations when this is all over down the road, but they'll remember those moments when we came in to help them out and support them too. But once again, it wasn't just our sponsor dollars, it's challenging all of our champions. Hey, could you go out and buy a $25 gift card here or a $50 gift card? I mean, those little things actually mean a lot during a challenging time as it is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of supporting others during a challenging time, and you know, there could be opportunities also to draw in different arts and culture organizations and performers as well to kind of break up your content. And it looked, Sarah, like the Brazilian Twins were a part of your event. I know they are. Josh, you might not know the Brazilian Twins. You got to come to Des Moines and see them perform because they're really an energizing presence at live events. Can you talk a little bit about how you integrated the arts into your event?
Yeah, so we've had Brazilian Twins at 2 of Blessman's events in the past, and we knew that they would be a big draw. And they have a high virtual presence right now as well on Facebook. So we brought them in, and we used them as a tool to kind of break up the content that we had with some entertainment. So it felt like people were still sitting in a room with us together. So we had them just play 3 songs. One was at the beginning after we presented our presenting sponsor, and then we kind of had a panel in between. That's where a lot of our heavier content for our program was, and had the Brazilian Twins play after that. And then just at the end of our event, we had a longer song from the Brazilian Twins. And we received a lot of great feedback from our participants about them. They felt like it wasn't just an infomercial for us, basically, that it was a live event, a live gala, that they were in the room with us. And so we were really pleased with that. And additionally, it brought in some new people for us. It brought in some of the Brazilian Twins followers that hadn't heard of us before. I think we had over 200 people from the Brazilian Twins that tuned in just because they wanted to see them. So they learned about our organization as well.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. I'm glad you mentioned that. That was something that Josh mentioned as well, kind of the star power opportunity that you have. And I know, Amanda, you have some star power at the zoo. You know, maybe not the sportscasters like Josh and Pinky Swear had, or the sports anchors, but, you know, your animals as well, being able to really kind of light up the experience for people. They might not have as big of a social media following themselves, but I don't know, maybe the animals have their own accounts, but yeah, so, you know, leveraging you know, those performers who you can, you know, encourage to share your video out. Amanda, I know you guys have been doing a lot in the live streaming space with your animals, and you're trying to figure out how are you gonna drive revenue then from some of those experiences. Can you speak to that just a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So when all of this started, we knew that we kind of had a duty to not only to the public, but also, you know, selfishly to kind of keep the zoo in the front of people's minds. We needed to get out there and kind of meet people where they were. They weren't able to come to us any longer, so we needed to get to them. So we upped our game dramatically on social media. And that was, whether that was chats with keepers or it was our live streams from just different exhibits. Some of our more famous, we consider them famous, animals that have kind of the bigger names that people come to the zoo just to see, getting them on some live cams, but then also doing some educational things. And in doing all of that, we're continuing to draw people in, and not just our members, but just the public, because it was all free. And it was great. And we've done whatever, I don't know, is it 10 weeks now? I don't know. 10 weeks now.
10 years, 10 years, Amanda.
Right? Yeah. Of those types of things. And that's great. But now that we get into kind of our so depressing, the height of our season, we need to figure out a way to kind of catapult that into a revenue stream as well. So our education team has been hard at work with our early education classes that had to put a halt to during the past several weeks, figure out how to do those virtually and have them be a paid experience, and what all can we do to engage them. I don't think that they're going to have all that tough of a time, to be honest with you, just because we've had educators on live every day, Monday through Friday, doing some type of craft or some sort of engaging material. And a lot of at least our members, but anyone that has children involved at the zoo, they understand that that is a big, well, I don't know about big, but it's one of our main revenue streams. And so they know that we are going to put forth a quality product in terms of a paid class or experience. So kind of changing gears a little bit, and maybe not offering as much for free to the public, still having a great presence, but reserving some of those more focused attention to those that are going to participate in our classes that have already registered, and now they deserve that experience. And we have other things that we're doing for Zubru, very much the same. But.
And I think you said that that's going to have a drive-up component, the Zubru, this year, maybe? Maybe?
Yeah, we're hoping to. When we talk about how Zubru looks, we are hoping to have some curbside pickup opportunities for the first one, which is, as we've been talking about, the free into paid. Our first Zubru will be free to everyone virtually. So that's members who always get it for free, but then everybody else who has to pay gets to experience our first virtual Zubru for free. And we will have curbside pickup prior to that, as well as our merchandise is already on sale online. And then we've made some changes to our plans in terms of doing it every week, and instead we'll be doing a longer, more special event type of Zubru at the end of June, which will have curbside pickup as well, but that will be a longer experience. It will be a paid experience, and it will have more than one band as well.
Yeah, cool. Has anybody in this group used like Instagram sticker donations or anything like that yet? Have you tried any of that yet? Josh,
We have, and so we try to, obviously post content as much as we can. We've just noticed that the demographic that uses Instagram, they just don't donate as frequently or as much as maybe the demographic who's on Facebook. But I think it's also just a great opportunity to connect and engage with those people, to let them know that we're accepting donations. Just to put it in their minds, the more time someone sees a message, the more time it will resonate with them. So we continue to post that often. But we aren't truthfully just seeing the same sort of ROI on Instagram as we are on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, we'll transition in just a couple of minutes to the breakouts, but I had a question from a participant whether or not it would be possible to receive a recording of each breakout session. We can't do that. We just can record the main room, and we're actually not going to record the main room this week. But I would like to open it up. I have more questions, but maybe a lightning round question for all of you while we invite folks to ask some questions in the chat. Knowing we might not get to all of them, I could probably send out some post-event information. So if you have a chat question for the panelists, please enter it in the chat now. And then I did want to kind of lightning round ask you and this is good, what tools are you using to conduct your events? That was my lightning round question, so thanks. Could you each maybe talk, starting with Amanda again, of what tool have you used? I saw you just launched a new walk as well. So what tools are you using maybe for that one?
Yeah, so the walk was something that I decided that we should do a long time ago. And as we did our research for that, we chose One Cause, just like you used, Marty, as well. We chose One Cause for our walk, but the benefit of One Cause is you can use them as many times as you need to within a year. So you pay for that year and you can use them for everything. So we've done an art fundraiser online so far virtually, and we used One Cause for that. And then we will be using One Cause later on for our gala, which is not my topic today, but for our Zoo Brew, that's something that we want to make sure that there's quality there. We want to make sure the production value is high. So what we are doing is we are partnering with DSM TV, who is also doing the farmers market events. And so they will be working with us on our Zoo Brew event as well.
Great.
At least for the month of June, because we all know we can't get a sound permit until July anyway, so.
Okay. Sara?
We used, for just donor or donations, we used Bloomerang, which is our donor database system. But then to post everything live, we used, it's called OneStream Live. And it's OneStream is just one word, and then live is its own separate word. And it allows you to link the same thing to 15 different social media platforms. We just linked it to YouTube and Facebook and our website. So if anyone got onto any 3 of those web pages, it would show the exact same video live. I was a little nervous because I've never used that before. So we tested it out once or twice in early hours of the morning when I didn't think anyone would be watching. And it worked really, really well. I would recommend that to anyone. And it costs, I think it's $29.99 a month. So it's very affordable for what you get.
Great. Yeah. And you had mentioned that you had a videographer relationship kind of already, and a great point that, you know, wedding videographers unfortunately are struggling as well. And so this is another space, if you're doing, you know, pre-recorded content, if you have those relationships with some of those vendors, that you can, you know, work with them and do it in a safe and responsible way and have it look professional. And I do think that that was pretty cool that you, you know, you talked about not making it look like an infomercial, but at the end, at the beginning of your gala, which is still available online on Facebook, Sara, and I'm linking to all your Facebooks in the recap, because I think that's where, you know, a lot of that content that's engagement-y is on there, that you had a, you know, like a sponsor video that you were able to do and really recognize your sponsors in that way. So I know that that's a question that I'm sure a lot of folks have. You had the benefit of kind of already having these sponsors on the hook at the beginning. And we know, you know, like we're talking about virtual events now, people's appetite for virtual events, I think throughout all this is going to fluctuate. Sponsors' appetite or ability to, you know, continue to support events is maybe going to fluctuate as well, because they're impacted too. But I thought that was really cool that you did that, you know, with your pre-recorded videos. And Josh, I know they're in Minnesota, but this was an opportunity for you guys to really have a new relationship with as a pro bono client for a company, right? Can you talk a little bit about that super quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, the agency that we're working with, they're called Blue 42. And yeah, they're based here in the Twin Cities. And, you know, we were approached by them. We got connected through some networking events. And we were approached by them, you know, obviously they were looking to potentially secure a new client. And then once they sort of heard our mission and what we do for not only families in Minnesota, but for families in Iowa and in other parts of the country. They were just really moved and really wanted to sign us on actually as a completely pro bono client. So they're a new digital marketing agency for us, and all of their services are 100% free for us, given that we're a nonprofit and they just believe in our mission, which is really great. And so that's how we were really able to pull together this gala that we did virtually last Saturday. And so they were the ones who really managed all of the videography, all of the graphics that were on screen. I know that they used a platform, I think Sara, you said OneStream, they used a platform called XSplit, which essentially does the same thing. And so we were able to stream live on our Facebook and YouTube and our website all at the same time simultaneously. And so that was a really big tool in our sort of pocket that we were able to use to execute this event. And then we used a platform also called Qtago for our online auction. And that was something that we really wanted people to register ahead of time because, again, with people getting so many different types of communication on email and on social media, our platform for the silent auction allowed us to also text. those who were pre-registered. And so it was just another form of communication that we could try to reach and engage with people, particularly the night of the event, because we did really want to make sure people were tuning in at the designated time, although this is content now that can live on forever. But to Sarah's point, we wanted to make sure people felt like they were in a room still with people and had sort of that real-time engagement.
Yeah. Great. Well, we've had some good questions, and I'll say we do record these presentations, and we will send out the recording in a recap message with like a whole host of links. I've been looking for links about how to do virtual fundraising events for weeks, and there are finally some really good articles on this. So I'm going to send that out along with the information that our panelists have shared, and I encourage you to watch their events. I am going to zoom you out now into your breakouts. And so if you haven't indicated yet, by changing your number or changing your name to have a number in front of it, that helps me to, oh, I have somebody who doesn't have a name anymore. They just have a number 1. But please go ahead and do that now. I'm going to give you like 30 more seconds to change your name. And then in the main room, we'll have Angie kind of facilitating conversation. So we'll come back here at about 2 or 3 till, and then we'll say goodbye and talk about next week real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the rooms, and you guys can really just have more conversation with your with our presenters today about their experiences and with each other. Okay, now I'm getting, sorry, a lot more that I have to do all of a sudden. This is the fun part, you guys, where I'm like a little bit of a duck here and trying to manage a couple different things. So yeah, I'll invite you. You can turn your videos on if you'd like. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start the breakout. See you in a little bit.